A former Bush EPA official discusses the Senate climate bill outline, why he says the hybrid carbon capping system could work. Also, some environmentalists say hydrofracking could harm water supplies. Now EPA says it's ready for a study to find out if those worries are true. And first there was cash for clunkers, now there is cash for caulkers. We'll have a closer look at the federal proposal.
From the Energy News Center in Washington, D.C., this is the Energy Report with Susan McGinnis.
And good Thursday afternoon. I'm Tyler Suiters in for Susan McGinnis. Thanks for joining us for this edition of the Energy Report. We now know how the Kerry-Graham-Lieberman climate bill is taking shape. The co-authors shared a draft outline of that bill with industry leaders on Wednesday. We know the bill will set CO2 emissions limits 17% below 2005 levels by 2020 and then 80% below by 2050. Also, the initial cap will involve utilities and electricity generation beginning in 2012, and then other industries and manufacturing will begin a phase-in process starting in 2016. The emissions reduction plans will preempt EPA regulation under the Clean Air Act and also any individual state limits. And the bill will include something of a hybrid, both a cap-and-trade system, as does the House version of climate legislation, and also the cap and dividend plan laid out by Senators Maria Cantwell and Susan Collins in their CLEAR Act. Now, today we talked with former EPA official Jeff Holmstead about that portion of the bill. That is the idea of combining a cap-and-trade with a cap and dividend system.
The idea is, in order to offset some of the costs of the program, a certain number of allowances will be distributed to the power sector. Then, with all those other allowances, if you auction them off, what do you use them for? I think the cap and dividend approach says, well, we should really return those back to the U.S. taxpayers since they're the ones who are paying the higher costs. I can see how that could work, but I think we won't know for sure until we see the details.
As for the rest of this bill, John Kerry says a full draft outline should be ready early next week, but he's still somewhat vague about the release of the draft bill itself. He's targeting that release for sometime between late next week and during the pending spring recess that gets underway next Friday. The EPA says it will redirect nearly $2 million to get a study started on hydraulic fracturing underway. This study comes amid increasing concerns that fracking could contaminate drinking water aquifers. The practice is now regulated state by state. EPA says the study will be transparent and peer-reviewed, and it's asking its independent science advisory board to help frame this study. EPA Administrator Lisa Jackson said last month the agency would need another $30 million to complete this study. And just last week, a study that included hydrofracking was released by IHS CERA. It found no instance of fracking causing groundwater contamination. CERA experts said gas formations being fracked are typically several thousand feet below drinking water aquifers and separated by impermeable rock layers. But they do say there is a different water issue at hand.
The fracking, actually, what we find, even when talking to the environmental groups who participated in the study program, the fracking isn't actually the issue. It's what happens to water when it's produced to surface. It's the surface handling of it. And there have been several companies who have had surface spills. They've been asked to shut down until they can demonstrate that their procedures are safe. For the most part, however, that kind of surface spill is still a long way removed from drinking water aquifers.
Hobbs said that produced water occurs over just a few days and has been regulated by states for years. CERA experts added there is no expectation, even if EPA does enact national standards, that regulatory responsibility would in fact be removed from those states. Vice President Biden today says an LED company is shining a light on how clean technology can help the U.S. economy. He visited Cree Incorporated today in Durham, North Carolina, highlighting what he says is one of the real success stories of the stimulus plan. Cree is getting $39 million in tax credits to expand its business, building energy-efficient components that the DOE says will be a key part of most lighting fixtures in coming years. And the vice president says this company has made very good use of that funding.
And I don't think I've ever seen a success story quite like this one here at Cree. It ties so much of what President Obama and I are trying to do is job creation, innovation, environmental impact, domestic manufacturing, exporting American ingenuity around the world. It's all in one package here. It's all in one package here at Cree.
Cree so far has hired roughly 375 new workers since just last summer in an effort to handle the increased workload there. In the wake of the Cash for Clunkers program, there's a new government rebate proposal that promises to save energy, spark demand for energy-saving equipment, and also, yes, create U.S. jobs. It's nicknamed Cash for Clunkers, and President Obama says the DOE's Homestar program, its official name, will save you money on your utility bills and boost the economy. Homeowners can get cash rebates on insulation, energy-efficient windows, water heaters, weather stripping, just about anything to make your home more efficient when it comes to heating and cooling. The program is expected to create more than 150,000 jobs and along the way boost sales at home improvement stores. But some lawmakers say this bill has no cap on spending and it should not be passed while our country is racking up record deficits.
I support energy efficiency, and there are bipartisan ways to create incentives for home energy efficiency upgrades, but I'm not sure that this legislation fits that bill. The Homestar legislation that we're looking today could prove to be far too expensive at a time of massive budget deficits and runaway spending.
Those comments coming during today's hearing in the House Energy and Commerce Committee on Homestar. The bill is expected to pass with bipartisan support, and if you'd like to see a list of the items that are eligible for rebates, watch Clean Skies' Lee Patrick Sullivan's report on the Homestar legislation right here on our website. The latest auction for Gulf of Mexico oil and natural gas drilling rights drew just over $949 million in high bids. Anadarko Petroleum and Mariner Energy led the way, offering almost $53 million combined. The Minerals Management Service says 67 companies submitted 642 bids on 468 tracts in the Central Gulf. Participation was up 10% over last year. The owner of the nation's oldest nuclear power plant is now threatening to shut it down rather than build a new cooling tower that was proposed by New Jersey environmental regulators. Exelon says the $800 million it would cost to build the tower is more than the 41-year-old Oyster Creek station is worth in its entirety. Environmentalists, however, say this job could be done for about $200 million. Back in January, the New Jersey Environmental Protection Department proposed renewing the plant's discharge permit with a requirement that Exelon build a cooling tower instead of relying on water drawn from a canal connected to a nearby bay. The DEP says the process kills a wide range of organisms, including fish eggs and small aquatic life at intake. Fish also die at the outflow when the plant shuts and warm water is interrupted. The DEP says a final decision is at least a year away. A controversial solar plant planned for the Mojave Desert now has the green light from California regulators. The California Energy Commission is recommending approval for the 392-megawatt Ivanpah electric generating system. The Bright Source power plant has been under environmental review for more than 2 years now after groups like the Sierra Club and Center for Biological Diversity asserted it would harm rare plants and animals. The Commission found a smaller version of the project that Bright Source proposed last month would in fact mitigate damage to several protected plant species on the site. That project, though, still must receive federal approval because it would be built on property leased from BLM. Back here in Washington, Senator Mark Udall is now introducing a series of solar bills designed to boost solar production in his home state of Colorado. The Democrats' first bill, the Solar Uniting Neighborhoods Act, extends a solar tax credit to those who pay into an off-site, community-based solar array to provide power to their homes. Participants own a portion of a community array in partnership with the utility that then credits their monthly bills with their solar usage. Current law allows homeowners to receive a 30% credit for installing solar panels on their property. There are other community-owned solar farms around the country, but none so far in Colorado. Also on the solar front, aluminum giant Alcoa is testing a new type of solar technology designed to lower the cost of building concentrated solar plants. The company has replaced the glass in parabolic troughs with reflective aluminum and integrated the mirror into a single structure similar to an airplane's wing box. Testing is now underway at NREL in Colorado, and officials say this new technology could cut the price of a solar farm 20% through lower installation costs. Commercial production is expected within the next 2 to 3 years. And Sanyo has opened up 2 solar parking lots in Tokyo where electric bicycles like these can be recharged from solar panels. The lots are stocked with the company's new Eneloop electric hybrid bikes. They're available as community transportation for local Tokyo residents and visitors. The system uses lithium-ion batteries to charge the bikes with enough power left over to then illuminate the parking lot with LED lights at night. Those lots are located next to rail lines so that bike commuters can take advantage of mass transit for longer journeys. Wrapping up this Thursday, we'll take a look at what lies ahead on Friday here in the Washington, D.C. area. Something of a light schedule, but starting at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, EPA begins its final day of a 3-day symposium on environmental justice that is taking place at the Washington Convention Center. And that is this Thursday afternoon edition of the Energy Report. Thanks for joining us. You can reach our team here in the nation's capital anytime at contact@cleanskies.com. You can also follow us throughout your day on Facebook and Twitter. From all of us, I'm Tyler Suiters. Thanks for joining us. You're watching Clean Skies News.